lot more. Let's rise. Five on the left, two on the right, face the east. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Islam. So last week we finished up our Back to Basics classes, and the Back to Basics classes were to get people who are coming into the information some guidelines so that they can make their way to being in a place where they can actually exercise this. Is not just something that they're putting in all the time, right? So we'll just start up with our readings to be read every meeting. A warning from the Prophet. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. And we also wanted to, with regard to the prophet sending out a divine plea, we wanted to also acknowledge the brothers taking their time, that, to come from far, waking up early or whatever, to make sure that they're here. And it's written that the prophet, since that time, was sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans. So the ones that hear the plea, the ones that answer the call, are the true ones. We don't need chambers for adepts and all that stuff. The ones that answer the call, those are the true ones, right? So honors to the brothers for taking the time to at least visit the place. You know what I mean? That started this whole thing that we're tumbling down right now, not knowing where we're going to end up. But we know that wherever we end up is going to be the spot to be at when we get there, right? And again, it goes for all the Moors. You know what I mean? That recognize that this is something that they have to connect to. This is something that they have to show allegiance to, and this is something that they have to support. Because without the Moorish movement as the foundation, all the other things out there would be nothing as well, right? And as far as quote unquote being a Moor, it's really about self. It's really about about you knowing who you are and taking what you know and putting it in the more science pot and creating what your will, once it's with the principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, once it doesn't violate anything of anybody else's rights out there, then you're obligated to try to make those things manifest. Because we're the ones that are going to be the example for people to follow. It's not going to be people who are sellouts. It's not going to be people who say they were down with Noble Drew Ali, but then they're doing things contrary to what he said. It's not people who've been hiding facts about this man for 100 years, people hiding stuff. And then now that it's coming up, now that it's making an appearance again, people are taking it as we're on some worship of some individual or whatever. When it is the time right now for all of our people to recognize that the whole entire world has been echoing to them the same thing that Noble Drew Ali said in the 1913s, you know, self-governance, you know what I mean? Teach your own, support your own, all these same lessons that people even later picked up little pieces of the lessons, putting it out, and people still playing around, right? So we give honors to Noble Drew Ali, and we're grateful for the opportunity to represent what he solidified for the Moors, what he made real. You know what I mean? So to the members of the Moorish Science Temple, Islam, these are the instructions from your holy prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near. So says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. So watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. So these principles, these teachings that we are presenting to our people is their teachings that they never knew that they had, because they were too busy listening to people who are enemies of the Moors. And Moors have many enemies out there, especially this time, because Moors have taken the position of letting the people know the truth about their birthrights, minus fees and charges and whatever like that, so that the people can go out and start studying and doing research for themselves in order to know what's going on. Because you're not going to be told what's going on. You're going to go research and find out what's going on. And all this has to do with, after you go through those 25 classes, that this is the mindset now moving forward. The mindset isn't anymore, we'll just let things slide because we're brothers or whatever. Now that you know about your birthright, now you have not only the authority, but the obligation to prove to these people that they're not Negro, black, colored. It's not just something where we're just talking about it now. It's something now that we're actually being. We got paper that proves our point. We got cards that proves our point. We got a book that proves our point. We can call some other Moor, get his book, prove the point. Right? We can get a website to prove the point. Multiple websites. Right? Movies to prove the point. Right? They want PhD scholar or whatever like that. We go with those people there. Those people prove the point. Right? To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the last few years. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement. Right? The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. Now this is 1913 to 1929, right? The only individual with the jurisdictional authority to make the claim, right, that the nations of the world are not going to recognize the movement. He didn't say Moorish Divine National Movement. He didn't say Moorish Movement. He didn't say Divine and National Movement. He didn't say Divine Movement or National Movement. He said the movement. Kept it real broad because he foresaw that our people would be in this place, marching, picking outside, fighting for the whatever like that. And what is that? That's a movement, right? That's a movement of people that have a certain mind frame that are trying to take something in a certain direction. And where they fall short is that majority of the so-called movements don't want to recognize Noble Drew Ali. And then that's why they fall short. Because he's the only one that told people, you know what I mean? This is your stuff. It's not mine because I'm the head of it. This is yours. Everything I do is on your behalf. And the people take that to mean idol worship. Because that's who we use as our reference point as Moorish Americans. We don't use, everybody else that we use is just to prove the point that y'all people should know. If we call up any of the master scholars, it's because somewhere in their literature they talked about Moors and mentioned it to these people that were classified as Negro, black colored, black community conscious, whatever like that. Been told. And with them claiming that they're a movement, regardless of what it is, right? Then the prophet has to be the head of that, or they're not making progress. And then it's that simple. And if they would use their common sense and look at all the other people in the world and realize that everybody else in the world that has a nationality has a prophet, and their nationality and their prophet is tying them to not just a national historical reference point, but also a divine historical reference point. Everybody else, we don't care about what good they did or what evil they did. But we know that everybody is striving for universal justice.